Good, excellent. We are starting, yes, on time. I'm going to talk to you about server density and how it can be used to monitor Active Directory and Exchange protocols. On this talk, I will be focused on how to monitor the platform that Matthias just showed. So we will be very specific, especially the demo part on how to monitor things. So if you were expecting to see how to monitor Windows Active Directory or Microsoft Exchange, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but won't be part of this talk. We will be focusing on the open source implementation thing for NTL Cloud. That's correct? Okay, I don't know the name. Okay, well, server density is hosted monitoring service. We do server monitoring and website monitoring, and it's very popular between the monitoring community. It's SaaS, the agent is open source, and we have very impressive numbers. We are monitoring, well, that number is updated already. It's over 100,000 servers, and we process 2 billion metrics every day. So they are some very nice numbers. So monitoring, everybody when speaks about monitoring or when listening about monitoring, like you are on that side, you're thinking, wow, what should be monitoring? Graphs, yes, of course we have graphs. You will see the graphs. But in my opinion, monitoring is more important. On monitoring, it's more important to get the alerts and to get notified when everything is going wrong. And this is the part where server density focus. We have dashboards; they are beautiful. But what is probably the best feature or the best advantages of server density is configuring alerts. This is the main strength of server density. You can use the web interface to do that, or you can use the API. We will see that later on. But everybody can configure alerts in a very, very easy way and dispatch the alerts like multiple places, email, SMS, iOS, Android, and some hipsters here in this room are using things like Slack or HipChat. You can also get notifications in there. Who's using server density? Well, we have many customers, as you saw. Probably you will recognize some brands between this. It's interesting that in the same way that Think or NTL Cloud, it's or targets hosting providers that they want to provide an alternative solution to a hosted exchange or a different implementation. Server density is also working with hosting providers like Server Hub or VPS.net or Byte. What else? Yes, easy to use would be probably the easiest definition or the best differentiation of server density. And we have 3 key points that make server density special. Installing the agent is something very easy. It's very adapted to modern workflows. So if you're using Chef, like NTL Cloud is using for deployment, no, it's using Puppet, sorry, I'm mixing things. So if you're using Puppet or Chef or Ansible or Salt, you can use those configuration management software to deploy the agent and the plugins and everything. We have plugins for many things, and writing plugins is something easy to do in Python or any other language. We will see later on how we created a plugin to monitor Samba for. And then one of the characteristics of server density is that everything you do in the interface can be done from the command line or from the API using or integrated with Puppet Chef or this kind of thing. So you can basically fully automate everything, and you don't need to deal with the web interface if you don't want to. When monitoring, and this is the part where we are going to focus today, is when you take Sential Cloud, as Mateo explained, and you want to deploy that into production, there are two things that you are going to need: monitoring and backups. We won't be covering today backups, but monitoring is the part or the additional tool that you need to bring Sential Cloud into production. You want to keep an eye on things doesn't break, keep working, and perform properly. So there are 5 points or 5 areas that you should be monitoring when deploying things. First of all is system services and system metrics. So what you would be monitoring in any server: memory, CPU, network, disk, I/O, input, output, and processes. We will see that in the demo. This is pretty standard. 2, Active Directory, as Mateo showed in that diagram, that you could see the different pieces of Sential Cloud. Active Directory is a key element. Users, companies are stored in Active Directory, so we need to make sure that's working properly. Then the third point is the mail stack. We saw that we have postfix, we have top code, and maybe we have some other things like anti-spam or so. We should be monitoring those as well. And then the mail storage. This is where we store everything, mails, contacts, calendars, these kind of things should be monitored as well. And at the end, the Microsoft protocols part, very specific, unique feature of Sential Cloud, transforming all the traditional mail stack into MAPI for Outlook and ActiveSync for mobile devices. So those would be the 5 areas that we will be monitoring today. When we are going to monitor Active Directory, there are 4 things important to me that we need to keep an eye to. First of all, NTP and DNS, those are requirements for any Active Directory deployment. We should be monitoring those. Second one, LDAP responsiveness, and I think there's a typo there. Anyway, we want to see if our LDAP is performing properly, and it is fast. And this is where I will be showing you a plugin that we wrote for doing that. LDAP active connections, how many people is using LDAP at that moment. Samba for database, make sure there are no errors or inconsistencies in Samba for internal database. And then the 5th point I wanted to include here is in this very specific scenario of Sential Cloud. We are lucky that we only use a subset features of Samba for Active Directory, so we don't need to worry about write performance of Samba 4 because there is no replication and most of the operations, they are read-only. There is no Kerberos, there is internal Kerberos, but it's not used externally. So users, they are not using Kerberos, another thing we don't have to monitor. There is no site replications between different locations or file replication. So if you want to monitor Active Directory, you should be monitoring all these other things. But in this very specific scenario for Sential Cloud, if we do LDAP responsiveness, LDAP active connections, and some of our database, I think we are covering pretty much the most important things. When monitoring the mail stack, this is not very specific, but I wanted to include it here. Basically, it's going to be postfix and dop code. We want to make sure that postfix and dop code are available and exposed to the internet, and the connectivity is fast. The processes are running, obviously. We will see how to configure that. We can see the number of SMTP connections if my mail server has been included in any blacklist. We can see the number of messages in the queue for postfix. We can monitor send and receive emails. We can monitor IMAP connections to code. This would be all the things we can monitor. I have included there. And a second iteration that would be very interesting is to do functional monitoring. So having scripts that simulate user behavior and log in into the IMAP or log in into the SMTP and make sure that an email can be sent and it's coming back. Mail storage. When using Code 2.1 and next versions that we do in Sential Cloud, you have access to a stat process that is going to give you information and the number of logins, the number of IMAP commands that the different users they are running, because it's going to be very different performance-wise if the clients they are just idle or if they are running commands like search. That's going to kill your storage performance, and number of current IMAP sessions and a couple of more things. The other small part in the storage is MySQL. Sential Cloud also uses MySQL for storing contacts and calendars. Won't be talking long about monitoring MySQL because there is a lot of tutorials and documentation on the internet on how to do that, but we'll see that monitoring MySQL in server density, it's pretty easy. And the last layer that we need to keep an eye is the MAPI protocols and ActiveSync. For MAPI, it's very simple because in Sential Cloud, use it in hosted scenarios, hosting providers. There is no RPC, there is no other internal protocol. It's just HTTP. Okay, all MAPI protocol is using HTTPS protocol to connect from Outlook into the Sential Cloud. So if we monitor HTTPS, we will be covering basically all the MAPI connectivity. We use HA proxy, sorry, difficult name, and for ActiveSync we use the SOGO implementation, as Mateo said. I just have included the URL there, and I will be showing you how to just monitor generic URLs, as this is not ready on Sential Cloud yet. As I said before, for my email, would be great to do functional monitoring in this case as well. And open change includes library called MAPI client library. Next iteration would be writing a plugin or using that library to perform like full connections or full MAPI connections into the Sential Cloud to see that a MAPI it's actually working. Well, won't have more slides. We are going to move directly to see the product working. Any questions, any comments regarding the things we saw so far? I thought you were going to say something. Okay, good. Okay, there we go. So this is server density. When we log into the application, the first thing we get is a dashboard. Those dashboards, they are fully customizable, and we can just decide what kind of graphs or widgets we can have here. I'm going to hide that thing. Okay. First thing we need to see is how to connect the devices to server density. So if we go to the devices, we will see here a list of some of them I have connected already. But I have created a group with two of the components or nodes of Sential Cloud, the Samba server and the HA proxy. I'm going to show you how to add a new one just for reference, okay? So we are going to go here, and we are going to say open change 1, for example. That's one server that we are going to monitor. Oh, and I have it included in my group, so I'm going to change that now. And this is thing group, and I'm going to say that server is in Spain. Is internet going or not? Oh, no, there we go. Okay, so we have here a button that says install the agent. So we are going to come here and say, okay, this is going to be Ubuntu. And we have the steps and how to install the agent. So I'm going to copy that. And I don't know if you can see my screen properly. I think it's big enough. So as Mateo showed, we are using Vagrant. And I'm going to SSH into one of the open change nodes. And I'm going to just copy and paste the instructions. Okay, you have an installation script. And then with this command, I connect the server. There we go. So the command includes the token key that will be or will allow the agent to connect to server density. And now it's going to other repositories in the background and everything. But we are not going to wait for that because we have some servers ready here. So if we click on this, we are going to see that the agent has already started to monitor different metrics like load average, memory usage, network traffic, CPU usage, disk input-output, disk usage. Okay, so the basic metrics we saw on the first area point, they are already being monitored. This is not enough. We would have to configure the alerts. So if we go to the alerting tab, we are going to see how to add alerts very quickly. Actually, we are going to use the group alert. So we are going to configure those alerts to the Fential cloud. So for example, if we want to say, I want to get a notification with when load is very high, load average is bigger than 4. I want to wait for 2 minutes before triggering the alert, and I just want to get one alert. I don't want to get more notifications. And then I can decide if I want to get the notification on my email or on the Android application. I can actually configure both. Okay, and that's it. We have the alert configured. Okay. I'm going to show you that once we have monitored or once we have installed the agent, we can install different plugins to monitor at the specifics part of Active Directory. One of the things I was mentioning before is important to see that Samba LDAP is performing properly. For that, we have, let me find, yes. I have written a plugin that it's going to be available in this directory. Okay, basically the plugin I want to show you, this is going to be the important part. I don't know if you can see. But just with a few lines of code, we do an LDAP bin. We check that we can authenticate, and then we return the time it took to perform that operation. That's going to give me that metric in server density. Okay, just dropping the file in that directory is how plugins are installed, and then automatically for that server, I'm going to see that I have available here that metric, LW bind time. Okay, and I can see it's just a JSON metric. So what I could be doing here is to configure an alert that says that if that binding time is bigger than 0.2, that's correct, let me check. Yeah, it's bigger than 0.2 seconds. I want to get a notification, okay? And on my Android as well. Good. Also, if I want to get the graphs of that new metric, I can come here and say, I want a new graph, and I want to monitor that. Okay. And if I click at any point, I will be able to correlate what was happening in that moment across all the different metrics. Okay. That would be quick example on how to install plugin, very specific for Active Directory, and how to get notified of that information. We are going to just demo how to monitor Samba. So we can say, I want to have an alert that says that so the Samba processes, it's running. So basically, when this is, sorry, I was saying this wrong. Okay. So when there is no process with the name Samba, send me an alert. Okay. And what we are going to do now is to was the other one or the other one? Okay, it's been stopped. Right? No. There we go. Okay. The agent is running every 60 seconds. So very soon we should be getting a notification. I'm going to turn up the volume on my mobile phone so you see that we will get the notification here. In the meanwhile, I'm going to show you how to monitor HA proxy, which is the other important part of the Thential cloud. And let me open this console. Okay. In this server, we also have installed server density agent, and we have installed this plugin. Okay. We just download the plugin. Okay, it's just checking some metrics, not important, the code. One thing we need to do is to slightly modify Thential Cloud configuration. I will be asking Mateo to include this by default. later. But we have just added this very small part here that configures the stats endpoint. And just doing that, no, it's here. We see that we are getting the metrics in the same way that we were getting the metrics from Samba. So we have the different parameters that we get from HCI proxy. So if I want to add that information in here, I just need to do plugins and this guy, and I'm only interested in this thing, I don't know. For some reason, I cannot unclick that. But let me find sessions current. Okay. Well, since we don't have any users, you will see that we have only one session open. And if we go to the dashboard, we can say, I have created a very simple dashboard here with the plugin delta time we were collecting before, and then another widget that says the number of connections I have on my proxy. Okay, this would be very useful to see the number of users connected on the system. And by now, this alert should have triggered already. So maybe I haven't configured this properly. Why this is not working for me? This is properly configured. Well, I don't know. Let's wait. In the meanwhile, I'm going to show you how to monitor other services availability. For that, we will go to services and have configured here monitoring for my public IMAP server. We cannot do that with the thing deployment. We just deployed because it's on my laptop. It's not exposed to the internet, but just adding here the host and the port and saying that it's a TCP service and the different locations from where I want to monitor the service, I will get that graph. And here on the alerting side of things, I can just say if this service is not available from more than 3 locations, send me an alert. Okay, so we can see that from these 4 places I'm monitoring my service, it's available, and it's having a latency of 10 seconds, which is very high because my server is very slow. And yeah, I think this was it. I wanted to trigger the alert and show it to you, but maybe I'm doing something wrong. Process count by name is less than 1. Maybe it didn't stop Samba. it looks stopped. Okay, and as you can see here that the agent is reporting the metrics. So something went funny. Sorry? Yeah, maybe it's getting that thingy. Let's. Let's see if that works. Any other question? Anything in the meanwhile that you would like to ask? Yes.
Do you use open VPN connectivity for your servers and laptops?
No, this is the metrics they are sent inside of an HTTPS payload. So you just need outgoing connectivity. This is totally demo effect. Okay, well, what we can do is to background Samba halt, and then we will get the alert. It's the other way around, okay. That will take longer because we have configured that. Oh, look, there was trigger. Where is my application? Cannot see, but you can believe me that the application is, the alert is in my mobile phone as well. No, this is someone calling me. Okay, very good, very good. If you don't have any other questions, I just left here in the desk some notebooks we created using some IT jokes we collected in Reddit. So get one before leaving the R3. Thank you.